Afternoon Garage. So, you must know by my shirt color that it's orange and it's time to work on the green Solstice now. Right now I'm having battery issues. I went out and tried to start it, drive it around, and well, you got the dreaded clicking noise. Knew something was wrong with the battery. I tried to jump start it a little bit and was having trouble doing that too. So figured it would be a good time to bring it here into the shop and do some investigation and find out exactly what's wrong. Well, if you've been following my channel, you know I have all kinds of different vehicles I drive. And I really don't drive one of them even once a week. There are certain cars that I do have to drive around the neighborhood, drive around the block a little bit, like the DeLorean that has a fuel system that, well, you really need to run some fuel through that every once in a while, at least once every month or two. But other than that, some of these cars just sit for sometimes months. Not really a good scenario for battery issues. Yeah, case in point with a bad battery is this Pontiac Solstice here. It puts the battery in a really weird place down here in the fender. I really like the location. What happened here is this. You can see my battery has low voltage, and in fact that was up there quite a bit farther than that. It was up to about 12.5 volts or something like that. You put a charge on it here. You'll see it goes up to about 15 amps, and it'll stay like that for days if you let it. So this battery here has definitely failed.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Only taking a 3 amp charge where it was at 15, typically overnight. Another thing is here, putting my hand down in here and feeling this battery, it's very warm, so it's definitely been probably internally shorted somehow. I think the best thing to do now is, since I know I have a dead battery, is we'll get it out and then I'll load test it on the bench and see how bad it actually is. I know I could load test it in the car, but I've already done that and I know it's definitely bad. Let's pull that out of there. Right, that wasn't so bad. So you can see that if you swing that panel open, it makes it a lot easier to slide that battery right out of there. Don't try to struggle with getting it underneath that frame piece. It's too much work that way. What we're going to do here is hook it up to the battery charger, get a full charge on it, and then we'll use something like this. This here is a carbon pile load tester. And what it does, it has battery voltage here, current here, and you can simply dial up a load on this thing, load this battery down, and then see how much reserve capacity you have in the battery. But first you gotta charge it. So let's charge it, make sure this comes up to 13.2 volts. Charger shuts off, and then we'll perform a load test. Now, if it doesn't fully charge or completely charge, well then that indicates a bad battery too. So I suspect this will charge. Let's find out. It says 10.5 volts. That's pretty low. You can see here it's drawing 3.2 amps. At 10 volts, you expect it to draw quite a bit more than that. We'll let it finish its charge.
1 hour later.
Okay, this battery finally completed its charge. You can see it says, I don't know, this says FL. That means the battery's, well, full. And so what we'll do is we'll disconnect the charger here and hook up the load test. This here is a kind of a cheap Chinese load test here. It kind of does the job though, and I know that there's other kinds of load testers you can buy that are much smaller. But this one, I kind of rely on it because it has a resistive bank in it that's pretty good. I mean, if you run 400 or 500 amps into this thing, 300, 400, 500 for too long, this thing will start smoking up here, and it's probably not a good idea. But just for a basic battery test like what we're doing, really serves a purpose. So you can see here we're down to, wow, it looks like about 11 volts or something like that. So it's really not even holding a charge, even though the charger said it was 13. Definitely not holding a charge. So what we're going to do is we'll crank a load on it. And what you want to watch, you want to watch your DC amperes kind of come up a little bit and hold there. Probably hold around 300 amps. That'll give you a static load test here. And what you don't want to have happen is you don't want your battery voltage to drop down into the red here. If the battery's bad, well then you'll hear an audible tone. So let's try to see what happens here. We'll keep an eye on both those needles. Okay, see the load coming on? You can see right here, this battery just dumped completely. It's down to 5 volts now. And we're producing somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'll kind of get the voltage to come back up. Yeah, this battery is completely dead. So that was a pretty good test. You can see by using this load tester, this battery completely fell flat on its face. So even though this said that it was charged and fully charged and actually shut off at 13.2 volts, well, you put it on the load tester, it told you everything you need to know about if it's going to start the car or not. Not going to happen. So what I did is I got online and I looked at my local area. You know, I have the typical Pep Boys, AutoZone, Standard Auto Parts type thing going on in my neighborhood, and tried to find this battery. This battery is kind of a strange battery here, being that it's a little bit shorter with the same form factor of other similar batteries. I think the dealer wants about $230 for this battery, and if I go to my local AutoZone, you know, they want $150 or something like that. I know there's much other cheaper solutions out there. So what I'm going to do is we'll go look at the chart and see if we can find something that's kind of similar and yet a little more available. See if we can fit something else in there. So back on the computer, I pulled up this chart here. It's from batteryequivalents.com here. We'll scroll down to group 86. Here it is right here. You can see the dimensions. So what we want is something that has about the same base. So 9 1/16 and 6 13/16. And I know that a group 35 battery is fairly common. So we'll go check that up here. Here it is right here, 9 1/16 and 6 7/8. So it looks like the length is about right. Really close on we're a 1/16 of an inch away on the depth here. So the next thing to be considering is the height here. So the group 35 is 8 7/8. and this is only 8. So the only difference between this and a Group 35 battery is 7/8 of an inch. But not only that, I think the polarity is actually reversed on the top post there. So plus would be minus, minus would be plus. So the Group 35 is probably not going to be the best choice since the polarity is kind of reversed there. But they make a different version of this battery. It's called the Group 25. This one is also fairly available. You can see it's got the same length and the same depth and the same height right up here. And but the difference between this one and the 35 now is that the polarity is actually switched, and it kind of matches what we have in there. Now, we don't really want to modify any of these battery terminals or anything like that. So probably important to get the plus and the minus in the right location. So I think what I'll do is I'll go out and try to find one of these Group 25 batteries and stick it in there and see what happens. Always make sure to bring your return with you.
You were looking at it with the Wi-Tech with this added to it, and the Michelin without this added to it.
Yeah, that's what that.
Yeah.
All right, battery acquired. So you can see this thing was 79 bucks. The other one I was looking at was 144, 200 bucks, something like that. Much cheaper. So if we can make this battery work in there, it's probably going to be a good thing even in the future. So what we're going to do is we'll put this battery back in and see if there's any spots where maybe the height would be a problem. Then we'll slide this thing in and see if this one fits in its place. Alright, we got the old battery back in. Now you can see where the frame kind of bends inward right there. You can see maybe if we had a taller battery, it might actually contact that frame in there. So let's pull this out, put that Group 25 in, and see how close we come to that frame right there. The battery's right up against the frame there. That's probably not very good, so if we can take and push this battery just a little bit forward, maybe we'll do something with the mount in the bottom. Push the battery forward and get it away from that frame. All we really need is about 1/4 of an inch. This is your typical bottom mount battery tray where you've kind of got this cleat down here and then this piece in here. Put that down there and it kind of squeezes the battery together. I don't want to bend this up at all. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to use this battery and not modify this battery tray at all. So you can go back to the original one if you really want to. So I think what I'm going to do is put a piece of rubber tubing on this and get this battery to come out, I don't know, maybe just 1/4 of an inch or so. As long as we can get the battery away from this frame right here, we should be fine. Kind of slide it on there like that. Let's try that battery again, see how it fits. Might be a little hard to see here, but we have plenty of clearance there between the frame and the top of the battery. About 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch. Happy with that. Pretty good fit. I like it. Put it back together. Well, there you have it. Put a Group 25 where a Group 86 came out. Saved about 75 bucks. And Group 25 is much more available battery. So when I go to change it, I'm going to want to mark it to make sure that people get the right one in there. You know, hey, save a few bucks. No one thing to be concerned about here is where you have high amp draw vehicles like big luxury cars and that kind of thing. You have lots of power accessories, heated seats, you know, heated lumbar, that kind of thing. Really has a high energy demand. You want to make sure that the cold cranking amps is about the same, but you can be pretty much assured that, you know, if you get the same size and dimension of battery, it's probably going to work just fine. So another thing here is that, hey, this is just a small passenger car. Yeah, it has you know, a blower and, you know, not too much else. Doesn't even have power seats in it, so electrical demand's probably not going to be that great, especially since I don't have any kind of a big stereo in it or something like that. So where I pulled a 590 cranking amp out and put a 550 in, probably going to be just fine. Those ratings are a little bit iffy anyway. Very happy with what we've done here. Saved some money, made it a little easier next time when somebody wants to change a battery out. If you're not already, please subscribe. If you know anybody that would like this kind of content, just let them know. Till next time.